everybody, and welcome to season 10 of Yeah, We Read It.
Oh my god.
This is our 10th season,
Wow.
and my name's Laura. I'm one of the hosts.
My name is Meggie, and I'm the other host commentating on how shocking it is that we are at
Yeah.
season 10. What the hell?
Kind of funny that the most shocked person that we made it to season 10 is one of the hosts of this podcast.
What? No, I'm happy we made it to season 10. I'm just like,
Yeah, me
that's
too.
crazy. We've been doing this for
Yeah.
almost 3 years?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in October.
Oh my god.
Um, and it's season 10. We've got a very short season, and this season is sure to be short, but also very sexy, very summer. We're reading the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. This also marks the first time we're doing a second series by an author. Like this is our second bout of Jenny Han.
Yeah, I don't remember our reasoning for deciding the summer I turned pretty. Was it just like we wanted to finish off Jenny Han completely?
No, well, I
We
think it
wanted to
was
finish her off.
one because it's summer, two
Yeah,
because the second season of the show is coming out
July
soon, and
14th.
I've always said it. I want to read the books before I watch the show, so now I'm going to be rip roaring and ready to go for that.
Oh my gosh. And guys, we are like balls deep in this series.
I'm
We are so
like, I
excited.
don't, I don't think I've gotten like this invested in one of like the series we've read in like a minute, but also these books are digestible. Like every single one of these books clocks in at like exactly 275 pages plus or minus 5. Like I don't think we've ever had like a series that is so consistently like the exact same page number per book, per capita, if you will. And they're just so digestible that
Yeah.
I can finish these in a day. It's insane.
And I wouldn't know the size of the book because I am reading this. I'm also doing something crazy this season, which is reading a book series exclusively on my phone, which is
Yeah,
kind of wild.
Maggie's gonna need to get their eyes checked after this.
The font is luckily pretty big, but honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the setting is fun. It takes like all the really fun parts of Kissing Booth. Um, okay, literally just one episode of Kissing Booth. There's like one movie where they spend the summer at a beach house. And then it also kind of
Oh,
has,
I
I
was like,
mean,
kissing booth, what the fuck?
there's one summer where they're like, we'll always have the beach house. I think beach houses are
Yeah.
fun. And then it has the same cadence of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, but we like
Yeah.
actually get invested in, you guessed it, young adult novel love triangle. Wee woo.
Ugh. It's been a minute since we've had a love triangle of this size and stature. I feel like the last time we had like this big of a love triangle, it was Vampire Diaries, and that was also two brothers.
Yeah.
Um, and this book also reeks of like just nostalgic summer vibes, which I also just like love.
And I gotta say, we have a juicy love triangle. I think that this one is a lot more fleshed out than like other ones we've had.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious. I'm curious to see your thoughts because I think I have conflicting thoughts on a lot
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. This love triangle for like the first half of this book, I will say, I was like, this doesn't really feel like a love triangle. Like it just kind of feels like she has a crush on two boys, and the boy, like, I feel like she was kind of manifesting that they liked her back for a lot of it. Cause it was always like, he looked at me like he wanted to kiss me. And it's like, you guys were just like hanging out, Belly. Get over yourself. But then
Yeah.
as the series goes on, it feels a little more like, again, we kind of fall into like it is actually a love triangle, but it also, and I will argue this for the entire season, so I'm going to introduce this now. This love triangle seems a little incestuous because they've known her like their entire life, and multiple times they're like, Belly, you're like a sister to me, and then we're supposed to, so that some of it gives me pause.
Yeah, I don't really know what 2000s obsessions were with like pushing on like he's the older brother of my best friend and I have to like him for that, especially like when you start hanging out with the family a lot cuz then it just gets
Yeah,
kind of weird.
yeah,
Um but that does establish what the prologue starts us off with, which this is going to be a straight love summer story. It's going to be filled with sand and a beach house and Belly amongst Conrad and Jeremiah and Steven, her older brother. And it kind of starts off with Steven driving Belly and their divorced mom, Laurel, whose name
Laurel, get it.
We don't get Laurel's name for like a while in the book.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just mom for a while. Also, Belly is short for Isabel. Still, Belly feels like a weird name for a protagonist, but I get it's supposed to mean that, like, she's very much like a kid. So, like, I get it. I get it.
They were like, "Oh, Belly, you had so much tummy time as a toddler."
Like, oh, his belly's got a little tummy ache, little belly ache. They just constantly undermine her.
Yeah, she's called Belly because of how many Jelly Bellies she ate,
One time, yeah.
one time, and they are headed to Cousins Beach, which is where this aforementioned beach house is. It's a place they've been going with Conrad and Jeremiah, their family, because, Belly's mom, Laurel, is best friends with their mom, Susanna or Beth,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they do it every summer.
And this is, yeah, long-standing tradition, and the age group goes, the moms are similar age, obviously. But then it is Conrad, Stephen, Jeremiah, and then Belly. Like they're all like 9 months apart, essentially. Like they're all separated just a little bit. Like I think
Yes.
Jeremiah and Stephen might be this. No, no. I
I
was that was wrong. So
think
Stephen's 2 years older than Belly, but Belly's 1 year younger than Jeremiah,
yeah.
and Conrad's 1 year older than Stephen.
I think so. I think that Conrad is 2 years older than Belly because he's, like, 19 when she's 17 later on.
Yeah.
So, I think that, like, Steven and Conrad are, like, close to the same age, or Steven and
Yeah.
Jeremiah are the
Well,
same
yeah,
age.
because I've been thinking about this because we know in this book that Steven's going to tour college campuses because he's going into his senior year. But then we find
Mm,
out at the end of the book, Conrad's going into his freshman year of college.
yeah,
And yeah, so I think they're all like basically 9 months apart.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
But her mom drops some drama early on. She says, like, last summer she had a fling. We don't really know what the fling is. I don't even know
Yeah.
if we ever learn with Conrad. But her mom was like, I saw you eyeing Jeremiah, and thus the start of establishing a love triangle where we, the reader, must choose a side.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like when Belly's like first approaching the house, she's immediately like, "Man, I want to kiss Conrad," but I'm besties with Jeremiah. We've always been friends. And she also takes note that when she like gets out of the car, they both looked at her a little bit differently.
Hmm.
Hence the whole turning pretty aspect of this book.
Yes, the summer I turned pretty. And this really works because they're Conrad and Jeremiah's mom, Susanna, is like hoping that they get
Yeah,
together. She's like, I want one of my boys with my best friend's
yeah.
daughter.
Susanna has been grooming these children from the youngest of ages to fall in love. Um, and we do get a story of we get a lot of flashbacks in this, kind of like we got in to all the boys. We get
Yeah.
like a flashback of when she was 12 and Conrad took her to the boardwalk and she thought it was like a date because she was 12 and he was like 14. But it turned out he liked the boardwalk girl, but he won her like a polar bear anyway. And so she like still has that polar bear named Junior Mint. But her kind
Hmm.
of manifestation of them falling in love with her is blissfully ruined when they have to do their first belly flop of the summer.
Yeah. The boys will just kind of like throw her into the pool, and she's like, all right, well, I'll have to deal with the shame and humiliation of it. But afterwards, Conrad's kind of lingering. He like tugs on her foot to pull her
Yeah.
under. Ooh, the touch of a boy.
Ooh,
Especially
and
in
yeah.
swimsuits, though. Like, I feel like if like guys would like play with you or like dunk you in a
Yeah.
pool when you were younger, I was stressed out. I was like, we are almost naked.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it is the first dinner that night, and we learned some tea about how everybody's years went. We learned that Conrad's gone a big transformation. He does not play football anymore, and he's not going to be lifeguarding this summer. Instead, he's going to be working at the buffet at the seafood restaurant. But
Mhm.
Jeremiah is going to be the big bad sexy lifeguard now.
Exactly. Jeremiah's gonna be working on the at the country club, getting tan as fuck. Oh, and if we need to know for team's sake, if you guys are like solely based off appearances, Conrad's kind of the leader of the boys. He's got dark hair, he's moody, and Jeremiah's like the blonde tennis player court jester type. And
Yeah.
he's a country club boy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Jeremiah's very like all American. Conrad's very moody, broody, vibes. So to do with that what you will.
Listen, and Conrad's bussing tables, like Laura said. And as someone who has been in the service industry for 2 weeks, do we trust the guys who bus tables? I don't know.
No. No, we
No.
don't. As somebody who worked in it for 6 years, I can confirm you never trust the people who bust your tables.
You
Um,
don't. But still leave them a good tip, but don't trust them.
yeah, you always leave a good tip, but you never trust
But
them.
you never trust them.
Um
We get another flashback, and we not only get that Conrad is like the leader of the group, but we get kind of everyone's role in it, which is Steven will follow whatever Conrad says, and
Yeah.
Jeremiah is kind of just the goofball. And in this flashback, the boys they're camping near the beach, and we get a little idea that Belly is often left out of the plans, which kind of
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, yeah, Belly, like, wants more than anything to be, like, one of the boys, which is also weird because it's like you can't be one of the boys and also the girlfriend. Like, you have to be one or the other, Belly. That's you can't have everything. Like, what do you actually want? Do you want Conrad to fall in love with you, or do you wanna be one of the boys?
She clearly wants him to be in love with her because in this flashback, he's the only one that says bye, and I guess that consists of enough to develop a crush. This
Yeah.
is when she first develops a crush on Conrad.
Right, and things are looking good for her because Conrad is newly single this summer. Him and his girlfriend Aubrey or Audrey, they have recently broken up. We also get another little flashback, lots of flashbacks in this book. That whenever she can't sleep at midnight, she always does a night swim. And then there was a really sweet anecdote of her and Susanna like going on a night swim together. Susanna just like showed up. And it was when Susanna had cancer and she just took her wig off and they didn't talk or anything. They just kind of like swam with each other. But on this particular night swim, Conrad's watching her and he's smoking a cigarette.
She asks him to quit, but bad boy that he is, he says no.
Yeah.
And her mom later, listen, the kids are in their rebel phase because her mom is asking her to call her dad, and she's like, no. And we get the vibe that maybe she has daddy issues, which really sucks that Conrad's smoking because I feel like bad boy, daddy issues goes hand in
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah. Yikes. We do get introduced to another character, Mr. Fisher, who we learn is Susanna's husband, and he only comes up for like 1 or 2 weeks a summer, just because it's harder for him to get away from his like banking job or whatever. And he's very much like a detached dad type that's like, likes sports and likes to give kids $20 bills. That's what we understand him to be like.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty handsome fellow, and it's like one of those situations where Belly's mom, like way back in the day, dated him and then was like, I don't think we're gonna match. I think you should go with Susanna. And instead, Belly's mom, Laurel, ends up with this guy that kind of the crux of this series too is that her and Belly's dad went through a divorce, which is why
Yeah.
Belly doesn't really like her dad. And because he cheated on her with like a PhD student of his, which is
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, and it's like we get a little anecdote after introduced to Mr. Fisher of like Belly's dad, whose name I don't even remember, honestly, but she kind of talks about how like kind of through her lens of being like 15 and a half, like she can't really understand why her dad did this and it feels like he's just living in an apartment now like with his cat and his mom like her mom has like the house still and stuff like that. So she really does have some bottled up resentment towards this entire divorce.
Yeah, she definitely does.
But she also has a lot of distance from her mom because it sounds like her mom's going on a bunch of big trips now. And there was this really sad line where it was like, she would go stay at her grandma's house whenever she needed to because her mom would go out of town. And she would
Mhm.
say, like, oh, my mom would just go and take all of these pictures in all of these cool places, but I never asked to see them, nor did she ever ask if I wanted to. And I was like, that is sad. Like, that's like what their relationship is.
It does seem like a really distant relationship.
Yeah.
I know there's like a line at some point too, and I think it might be later on, but I know that it's like obviously more tangible to right now. When she's like feeling like she always gets ignored at the summer
Yeah.
house. And she's like, part of me like hates my mom for that because you remember that she has a life outside of you, which is like both good, but it's also like how to like it's like it's a degree of separation and like closeness you crave but you can't nor never get, you know.
Yeah.
So her and
Yeah.
her mom, she got some daddy issues, she got some mommy issues. Belly's got every issue.
Belly's got boy issues. Belly's got brother loving issues. Belly's got all the issues.
But right now is about Belly's mommy issues because we have another flashback where her mom is smoking pot. Her mom seems like pretty chill, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, whatever, she's got a life outside of her.
Exactly. Yeah, her mom
And
was smoking pot with Susanna because
yeah,
Susanna was smoking pot on her chemo. And also we learned that Belly's mom is like thinks that Conrad's doing drugs right now.
yeah.
Um, so yeah.
She comes back later on, like after her mom is like, I think Conrad's doing drugs. And later in that day, Jeremiah and Belly kind of overhear Susanna and Laurel, and they're having a really intense conversation about breast cancer.
Mhm.
And this part I didn't understand if this
It's
was
a
a flashback.
flashback. This is a flashback of how her and Jeremiah became friends. It was because when Susanna first had cancer, like they were all really little, obviously, and they overheard their moms fighting, which that was like really weird. They never did that. And
Mhm.
that's when like Belly realized how serious it was and like could see the fear on Jeremiah's face because it wasn't just something that he dealt with in the summer. It was something that he dealt with year round. And she like held
Yeah.
his hand as a friend and then they just like hung out the rest of the day and didn't talk about it. But that was like the turning point that Belly said is like that's when Jeremiah and I became like friends.
Which bleeds perfectly into this next moment, which takes place in present day, where Belly and Jeremiah and Steven, they decide to go to this movie. Belly wants to pick out a rom-com. Steven's like, I don't care. Fuck that. So Steven leaves, and Belly and Jeremiah have a very sweet moment where they both go to drink a Coca-Cola that Jeremiah has gotten, put a Twizzler in because they used to do that as kids, and their foreheads touch. And
Yeah.
it's like, are they gonna kiss? Are they not?
And
I
they
don't know.
but Belly does say he looks like he wants to kiss me and I'm like, "Belly, is this in your head or is it true? We don't know yet. We
Really
don't know
fucking
yet."
sucks for Belly because this is the summer that she decides to bring her hot best friend Taylor. And I am a ride or die for Taylor. I fucking
Oh,
love Taylor.
this is also a flashback to the summer she brought Taylor.
Oh, I thought that that was present day. Okay,
No.
readers, audience,
There's so many flashbacks in this book. Like I literally had to write down flashback for all of these memories.
I was always so confused if she
Yeah.
brought Taylor this summer or it was a different summer
The
last summer.
chapters gave it away because, like, it would say, like, age 12, age 14, like, age 13 in some of the chapters, and that's how you knew, but it was very, very hard to keep track of.
Okay, so listeners, whenever we talk about Taylor, it is a different summer than
It's a
present day.
flashback.
So she brings her hot bestie Taylor, and Taylor's looking right. She's got blonde hair. She's tan. She's got an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. She's got it all going on.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah seems to take kind of an interest in Taylor, which Belly is, at least she's like, oh, thank God it's not Conrad.
Yeah, well, there was, like, a moment there where Taylor's like, I think Conrad's really cute. And Belly got pissed and she was like, Belly, you've been saying you're over Conrad because Taylor hears about these summer trips every year and they've been best friends for a really long time. So now
Mhm.
Taylor's like, cool, if you're over Conrad, like, could I try? And Belly's like, no. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll go for Jeremiah. And Belly gets mad too. And Taylor literally says, you cannot like both of them.
Which, voice of
Fair.
reason, they're
Fair.
brothers. Think
Like,
about it. Ugh,
think
these are
about
like
it.
lifelong people that you have been friends with, and you're gonna take a chance and ruin that friendship with one of them. You can't do it with
You
both.
can't do it. But Belly ends up just like kind of pouting during this whole trip. Like Taylor's trying to be like flirty and cute and get boys' attentions, and Belly's just not having it. And it's like, Belly, let her have fun. It's her summer too.
I know. They do that thing where they're playing chicken in the pool. Belly gets on Jeremiah's shoulder and Taylor gets on Steven's shoulder. Belly ends up winning, and then Jeremiah tosses her off, and then they kind of switch it up. Belly goes on Conrad's shoulders, ooh la la, and she wins again this time. And Taylor is upset. She
Yeah.
is, I mean, I don't know. If I was in a small bikini too, I don't think I'd be throwing arms in chicken.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? But
What are you gonna do?
back in the present day, Jeremiah, he's hanging out with Belly again, and he's like, I'm gonna teach her how to do stick shift. And he ends up bringing up their first kiss while they're kind of like hanging out, and he's teaching her how to drive this. So that's another little Jeremy planting a little seed, Jeremiah planting a little seed.
Yeah, because I think the kiss like happens when they're playing Truth and Dare, and this
Yeah, and
was
we
the
get a
summer.
flashback to that exact moment too.
Yeah, when, like, Taylor has been already kissing Jeremiah, and then, Jeremiah plays Truth or Dare and ends up choosing to kiss Belly, and very sweet. I think that's so cute.
Yeah.
Honestly, throw them for a curveball. Never let them know your next move. Jeremiah
Yeah.
knows.
But very quickly in the summer, Steven departs the summer house to go on his little college trip with his dad. And Belly is kind of coming to realize the reality that they are growing up. She's like, oh my gosh, Steven actually might never really be here for a full summer never again, because next year he'll be getting ready for college, and he might do an internship after that. So she's like really like, oh my god, things are changing.
Oh, yeah. Is this wait, so this is in present day now?
Yes, this is in present day. I'll be time ticker here. So this is in present day. Steven leaves with her dad, leaves very, very quickly. And
Mm.
then that night, to kind of cope with her little, grasp with reality, she's gonna go on a night swim, and she's gonna be introduced to Clay, who is one of the cousins, just summer boys as well. He's kind of a sleazeball, and he is drinking beer with the Beck boys, the Fisher boys.
Yes, he is. And Clay is kind of hitting on her. As
Yeah.
Laura said, he is older, so I don't know if she like actually likes it or if she wants to give into it, but she
I
is
think
egging
she's
it
trying to
on.
be cool, yeah.
And she notices it's getting Conrad all cranky, so like of course she's gonna keep going at it.
Yeah, and he invites her to his 4th of July bonfire the next day. So Belly's like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I'm pretty now. I'm absolutely going to this 4th of July bonfire."
She also takes this moment to lie and say that she has a boyfriend, which both
Yo, yikes. Belly,
that was so
rookie
embarrassing.
mistake. Never lie about something that people can easily, catch you on, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you gotta develop a sense of self before you start lying a lot, and
Yeah.
I don't think like, I think the idea of lying to impress someone or, like, the "I have a boyfriend" in high school, that's so cringe, but if you're, like,
Yeah.
lying to get out of work by being like, "My grandma died for, like, the 4th time,"
It's
then
different.
it's like it's
It's
different.
different. Those are just the stakes are different. And it's like, if you're lying to someone you know you're going to run into often about having a boyfriend, like, it is going to blow up in your face.
What are you going to
What are you
do?
thinking?
I don't even know,
Because, like,
but
versus if I tell my boss my grandmother died, they're gonna spend a week being like, "Hey, we're sorry for your loss." They're never going to, like, 2 years from now be or, like, a month from now be like, "Hey, remember when your grandma died?" Like, they wouldn't say that.
exactly, and plus she's dead, it's not like they're ever gonna be like, "Wow, can we meet her? What are you gonna do
Yeah.
with a boyfriend? What are you gonna do with a
Yeah.
fake
And
boyfriend?"
nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, your grandma died? Show me pictures of her." What am I gonna say? My grandma doesn't go to this school, she's dead?
They're like, "Show me the last selfie you took with her in
Yeah,
her
yeah. What's
open
her
casket."
obituary look like? Like, that'd be
What's her
that'd be so insensitive.
So she's headed to this bonfire, a non sequitur for that,
A good
and
segue.
she gets there and she finds she has no one to talk to, no one wants to hear about her fake boyfriend, and she's also not drinking, which I don't know.
Lame.
I mean, when I have no one to talk to, I get way too drunk, which
Well,
is so she's
my
probably
Meg,
doing
she is
better.
15 and a half and has never drank before. She's not gonna go and get drunk.
I guess that's fair. I feel like 16 would have been when I started that behavior. 15, I was still like way too horny for Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I loved God, obsessed with him. So
Still are. This
she
podcast loves God.
yeah, if that's gonna get us a 5-star rating. We love God.
Someone's gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh, they're Christians. Okay, I love that."
We
They've
do.
somehow
We
listened to all of our episodes to get to this moment.
God is the slay of 2023.
Yeah, man,
Um,
that is such a sleigh.
so she finds a normal looking guy to chat up.
He's
Probably
tall.
he's
He's really
tall.
tall.
He probably owns some khaki pants. And he remembers her from like this Latin convention they went to in eighth
Yeah.
grade. And she's like, damn, that sucks because I was ugly then.
Yeah,
Which,
but he seems to kind of be really interested. His name is Cam, and he's, like, about to head out because he has to go study whales or some shit. He's a nerd, y'all.
which
Um,
I'm sorry, if someone told you that they had to stop flirting with you because they had to go study whales, how would you feel about that?
I mean, I'd be like, "Okay, bye, have fun," but I also know maybe in my head, if I'm Belly and I really wanna get, like, kissed by someone, I might have to go along with this.
I would think they're lying to me. I'm like, oh, you could just say that you're not into
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I feel like where I would be like, I would also probably be the person to be like, "What's your favorite whale? Tell me the history of it." 'Cause
Oh,
I wanna
honestly,
you
yeah.
gotta fact check. If you study them, I gotta learn something from you, you know?
I would definitely I don't think in that time I would be, like, conscious of them, like, maybe trying to avoid me, but I would also wanna know about the
Right?
whales.
I would
Like,
be like,
"What's
I wanna
up?
know about yeah, I was like, "When were humpbacks invented? Like, tell me about that."
When were they born? What was the
Yeah.
deal with Shamu at
Yeah,
SeaWorld?
what do they like to
Tell
do
me
for
about it."
fun? I wanna know their hobbies. But since Cam's leaving, he's like, "Hey, do you wanna like, I could actually drive you back, like, that could be, like, fun, we could spend more time together." And, Belly's like, "Yeah, let me go tell Conrad that I am leaving." And so she
Ugh.
marches her little denim shorts, not Daisy Duke shorts, just normal shorts,
Just
up
denims,
to
just cutoffs.
Conrad, who is talking to a girl in a Red Sox hat and a bikini top,
Ooh
and
la
she's like,
la.
"By the way, I'm leaving with that guy." And Conrad gets really mad at this for some reason.
Gross. Ew. That's such a controlling like, you aren't even dating, but he is like, "No, absolutely not. No strangers." And he kinda, like, grabs onto her arm, and she's trying to get out of his grasp, and he's like, "Wait a half hour. I will drive." And she feels really babied, and I would also feel
Yeah.
really embarrassed right now. Like, I have autonomy. I can make a
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, they like they have like a full-blown fight in the middle of this party about like her leaving, and she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll stay." And Cam also sees this and he's like, "You know what? I'm gonna stay for a little bit with you and we can sit by the fire," which honestly points for Cam to be like, "Let me make sure this person is okay who just had a man yelling at her."
Because it just escalates so fast. She is talking to the Red Sox girl, trying to be like, "Hey, don't leave with him. He sucks." Which I would have seen that interaction and been like, "Yeah, this isn't your girlfriend. What the
Right?
hell?" Instead, Red Sox girl calls her a skank, and then Jeremiah has to come over, be like, "What is up?" And it's just like a full blown nightmare. And that's when Cam
Yeah.
decides to just be like, "I will stay. This is not worth it."
Speaking of nightmares, they're on the bonfire. Cam's taking off his hoodie and his t-shirt says straight edge, which means he doesn't do drinking or drugs of any sort. And he tries to sell it like he used to be super hardcore and he's not anymore. So she's got a square on her hands. So we
Yeah, and I don't even get what hardcore could be at 15. It seems like he just drank too much soda.
Yeah, well, I think he used to do like pot or something. That's kind of like the vibe I got. Like he used to like smoke and actually drink alcohol, but not anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, what if he was addicted to heroin and we had no idea?
Oh my god. I mean, it could happen at any age.
We don't know. But
Yeah.
the rest of the party kind of goes fine, and actually before bed that night, Jeremiah kind of corners Belly, and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, Conrad's just kind of going through it right now," and doesn't give us any more details. He's just like, "Hey, I know my brother was a dick, but that's kind of the norm for him right now because there's something on his mind." Like, where's the details? I would be pressing. I'd be like, what's going on? Tell me what's happening. Why is he being like this? Like,
Oh, especially if we've known each other for that long,
right?
like, I'm nosy. I'm gonna
Yeah,
want the tea.
exactly.
Um, Belly, though, is trying to move on from Conrad. She's like, "Whatever. I'm just waiting for Cam to call me now." He doesn't call. Susanna's husband calls instead. And he kind of says indicates that he's not going to come down to the summer
Yeah.
house, which is unusual.
Which is unusual, but she doesn't have time to think about Mr. Fisher not coming to the summer house because Jeremiah wants to go hang out with her and he takes
Aw,
her go-karting and it's actually really
cute.
cute. But when she gets back, she finds out Cam called while she was gone.
Ugh.
And he didn't leave a message. He just said he would call back later. And she's also regretting giving him the number to the house phone rather than her cell phone. But we obviously know why she gave him the number to the house phone. It's so that people would be like, "Oh, a boy's calling you?" So
Yeah.
Belly's trying to play some tricks, but she's bad at that.
No, absolutely. Meanwhile, Belly is kind of suspecting that something might be up with Susanna because she's been
Yeah.
really sad and in her room. Around the third time that Cam and her have a phone call, she invites him over to the house during a time when no one is going to be home because she's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to deal with the guys being home.
Smart. Smart, Belly. That is the smartest thing I've seen you do thus far.
Yes. And they decide to go swimming, and she's like, I'll race you to keep your hoodie. And she wins. So she gets to keep his hoodie, which is very
Yeah.
cute. A
She does
coveted
say
article of clothing.
yeah, she does say he doesn't know if he actually, like, let her win or she really won, even though
Hmm.
she tried to be like, "Don't let me win." We never really get confirmation on what he did or not. But he does invite her to a party
Ooh.
later that night, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll go to a party. I'm a party girl now." And she makes the mistake of telling Conrad and Jeremiah that Cam invited her to a party. So they, of course, are like, "We're gonna go to that party too. We know that guy. We're gonna go." And she's bummed because they show up shortly after she gets there.
They also kinda, like, make fun of how much well, not they, it's only always Conrad, makes fun of, like, how cute she looks. She put on a little sundress, she put on makeup,
Yeah.
and Conrad's like, "Why are you wearing makeup?" Which, come on,
Come
dude.
on, grow up. Like, dude, you're literally a senior in high school. Move the fuck on.
I know. So she gets to Kinsey's party. She sees a ton of these random teens that she's kind of only interacted with in like service industry settings. And
Yeah.
she's like, uh, damn, I really have kind of been locked away all the time, haven't I? Because Conrad
Yeah.
and Jeremiah know everyone too.
Yeah, and Jeremiah is being the life of the party. There's a karaoke machine. He sings Summer Lovin' from Grease, and he dedicates it to Belly and to Cam, whose last name we find out is Cameron. His name is Cam Cameron.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I thought that he was just stuttering.
I thought he was stuttering it, but then they like bring it up multiple times that like that is actually his name. And I was like, that is so funny.
Oh my God.
But party gets destroyed pretty quick because Conrad's fighting with like a 25-year-old out on like a balcony.
Yeah.
And Belly like gets in between them and is like, guys, stop fighting. And it's not working well. And Jeremiah has to be the one to really set things apart. And they're like, great, we're all gonna drive home. And Belly's like, I'm gonna go with Conrad and Jeremiah.
I know. And on the way out, Jeremiah makes a snide comment to Cam, calling him straight edge. And I was like, just leave this poor guy alone.
Honestly, roast him, roast his ass. Little whale ass nerd. Fucking get him. Nerd
You're
with a
like,
dumb name.
You're like, "Go back and pray in your room." Jeremiah is not in the car for this moment. Conrad, is passed out in the back seat. Haven't we all been there? And he touches, the bottom of, like, Belly's hair, and he says just, like, her name before passing
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, he says, like, "Your hair, like, patted down like that, like, looks like a baby duck or something." It's, like, weird, but Belly thinks he's, like, flirting. It's supposed to be really flirty, but, like, I read it this multiple times and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I don't know if I would look into it. I think it would just be someone who's really drunk saying, "My hair is soft," and I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it is."
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
only boy putting effort into her, Cam, invites her many days later because he is still embarrassed from this interaction to
Yikes.
a drive in. And she's like, oh shit, we're gonna make out because that's what happens at drive ins.
Yeah, and so she spends the entire drive-in hugging, like, the wall of the car, arms crossed. They sit in silence for the entire movie, and then she's mad that he didn't make a move, and I'm like, Belly, you gotta learn a lesson that you can't have both things, you know? You can't be standoffish, "No, I don't wanna kiss," and then be like, "Why didn't he try to kiss me?" Like,
Yeah.
Belly.
They don't kiss at all. Belly's so disappointed. When the movie just ends and he's like, all right, you want to go? So he drives her home, but he does park outside her house and which I think is more romantic, says he remembered from 8th grade how pretty she was, and then they kiss because he's been working up the nerve for years.
Yeah, yeah,
Aw.
so it's cute. They have a little makeout sesh. But this is immediately plummeted of her relation is plummeting when she approaches the house and hears her mom and Susanna fighting. And it's weird again because they don't fight very often, but she enters the house and like faces change and then Susanna's like really wants to hear about her date and it's actually a really sweet moment because Susanna's just
Mhm.
like so engaged and so bubbly about it and just so excited for her.
Yeah, she also is
Yeah.
like, "Tell your mom this too." Like, she doesn't wanna feel locked out of your
Your
life either.
life. Yeah, it's really sweet. And then it's already August. Like this summer is flying by.
It really is.
Mr. Fisher is still not coming to the house, and she actually learns from Jeremiah and Conrad that their parents are probably getting a divorce.
Yeah, both the boys have known, they're pretty sad about this, and Belly has to pretend not to know, to her mom because she's like, "I don't know if my mom
Yeah.
knows or not." Susanna,
exactly.
in the meantime, she's like fiending for love. I mean, in the face of the divorce, I would
Yeah,
be too.
and she's like, "I need
Sh
young love in my house.
I need it. She's
I
like
need to
tapping
feast
her
on this."
vein. Yeah, she's like tapping it.
Yeah, hit me up.
She wants Cam to come to dinner some night, and he does show up, and he's a pretty good sport. Like the
He
boys are
can
teasing
hang.
him. He can hang.
Yeah, he kisses her in front of everybody because they were teasing him, so he just did it, which was like, excellent move, Cam. They go on a little beach walk after this, and Cam asks, like, so which one of those guys was your first kiss? And we get a flashback to the truth or dare game where Jeremiah kissed Belly, even though Taylor thought he was gonna kiss her. Um,
Yeah. Cam
yeah,
thought it was going to be Conrad because of quote the way he looks at her, which is interesting. I would be
yeah,
rethinking some things if that was my
yeah.
main crush.
But also in this flashback, even like Belly's one mad because Jeremiah was her first kiss and it wasn't special. She's mad at Belly for liking Jeremiah. And she's mad that like Belly seems to be spending like all of her time with Jeremiah. And so she goes to like kind of
Oh,
ruin
you
one
mean
of their
Taylor?
little. Oh, Taylor, yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor, she goes to ruin one of Taylor's morning dates while she's there in this flashback with Jeremiah. And it's like one of the last sunrises before she's leaving, and she finds her making out with her brother Steven. My jaw dropped on the floor. That was a good fucking twist.
Oh, I texted you immediately. That was when I was screaming at work.
Yeah. Yeah. So she wasn't into Jeremiah. It was to throw her off.
It was to throw her off. Taylor's super sad about this. And of course, Belly's upset because she was like, I just told you to be nice to Jeremiah. Steven's really upset. Taylor chases after Belly. She's like trying to apologize and says that she's always liked Steven. Belly knew this, but Belly's not listening. Belly already is like shutting down, being like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to distance myself. We are not best friends anymore, which
Yeah.
I mean is so sad.
Yeah, and like they Belly says they be are best friends still, but she does make a note to say our friendship was never the same after that. Which is kind of a bummer. It seems like Belly held this against her a lot and like refused to move past it.
I know. And when she comes back to the house too, Jeremiah's like, I wish you had never brought her. Ugh.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
Yeah.
So
Um
we flash forward to kind of a time when, listen, so much of the series is Conrad going through it. And once again, we're
he's
here.
going through it.
He's going through it. He's in his like listening to the Smiths era. He comes back late at night, like 3 a.m., and he's blasting
Yikes.
music. So Belly goes and checks on him. They discuss like the sports that they don't really do anymore and like the people they've become from who they used to be. And he twirls her around his room, which I guess is romantic if he wasn't so selfish.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like Belly like wants these moments of niceness to mean more than they really are. Like these fleeting moments become like what she feasts on. And it's like, Belly, this is such a small, minute detail in like the grand scheme of how he interacts with you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, seriously. Like I feel like I mean, I don't know. It's pretty obvious when like a guy is like nervous and
Yeah.
invested and also like I feel like they also want you to think well of them. I don't
Yeah.
know if I've well, I mean, I've chased in my time, but like there's been like times where it's like people I have liked have like done a lot to prove that they're
Like
worth it too.
it is very much like if he wanted to, he would. And want to know something about Conrad? He doesn't.
He
He doesn't
doesn't.
do. She does do a little beach day with Cam, and they're there for like a little bit. And then she's like, "Hey, will you go get me like a Kool-Aid?" And he goes, "You need to stop drinking eating so much sugar. I'm gonna go get you a water." And then he goes back to the house to get her a water, and he disappears for 45 minutes. So she's like, "What the fuck?" And so she has to go back to the house, and he got distracted playing video games with Jeremiah and Conrad. And I'm like, "That's shitty."
So annoying. So she goes to the kitchen, she gets her own Kool-Aid. Conrad follows her and he's asking, "Why are you mad at me?" And she won't answer. So he randomly tells her to go look in the mirror more, which I don't know if that means like she's being selfish. She's like conceited because she got hot or something.
Yeah, I think something like that.
And I kind of like assumed that she was checking herself out a lot, which she
Yeah.
should.
She
Let her be a
should.
bad bitch.
She just turned pretty. Let her have this.
Crush is gone now, though. It is over. She is
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm going to remedy this by going skinny dipping the next night with Cam. So she is like, let's do it. Let's go out. And when they're skinny dipping, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, no, she, like, starts, like, running and, like, taking off her shirt, and he backs out immediately. Cam is not down. Which what a bummer, dude. Like, have some fun. He leaves her a note being like, "I owe you one skinny dip," but it's like, dude, there's fleeting moments you can't just recreate, and that is one of them. Like, that is a, like, you're either in or you're out, and this is the opportunity. It left, you don't get it again.
He's like, actually, Belly, you suggesting that we skinny dip triggered my addiction to soda. I'm
Yeah,
convinced it was only soda he was addicted to.
that's so funny.
So,
Um,
they have a little love or well, Conrad is like, "Ooh, the little lovers spat," and she finds this IOU skinny dip. The next day, Jeremiah, he noticed she needs a win, so he
yeah.
invites her to the country club pool, and he asks if she's over Conrad now that she's with Cam, and she feels kinda conflicted, but she's like, "Yeah, basically."
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, Belly's really trying to sound convincing there.
She
Um,
is.
but then that night, her mom's like, "Hey, Belly, I know, like, you're, like, a person and having your own life, but I feel like I've hardly seen you this summer. Like, me and Susanna would love to, like, just have, like, a little movie night with you. We wanna spend more time with you." And Belly's like, "Okay, well, I'll owe you guys one movie night." But she also hears her mom and Susanna kind of having a hushed conversation of when to tell the kids. So she's like, "Oh shoot, that's probably about the divorce that's
Mhm.
impending." So she's definitely getting more nervous that that kind of news bomb is going to drop soon.
'Cause they mentioned that they think the kids might know since Conrad's been leaving beer out,
Yeah.
but she has to go to her putt-putt
Yeah,
golf game.
mini golf date that she's gonna leave early to go do a movie night, but she, of course, misses it because Belly is bad at time management.
She is, she you gotta tell Belly to show up an hour before someplace.
Yeah, she's one of those.
And after this date, she does kiss Cam, and she's happy about this, even though I felt like at this point they've kissed a lot.
Mhm.
Her mom's upset she wasn't home, but they're gonna kind of like overlook it because Belly's 16th is coming up. She'll be getting Steven's old car.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Susanna gives her pearls for the day, which is really exciting. Conrad doesn't get her anything, and that's which is like, of course. But then Jeremiah actually gets her a really nice gift.
Yeah, he gets her a silver keychain for like a charm bracelet that Susanna got her when she was young, which is really sweet.
Yeah, yeah. But
And
then
instead of focusing her energy on Jeremiah, Conrad, like the next day, decides to invite the girl from the beach with the Red Sox hat, Nicole, over. And Belly's like, you know what? Fine. I'm going to invite over Cam.
yeah, and it's awkward. Like Conrad and this girl Nicole like try to kind of heist their movie night, and they end up like watching 30 minutes of this movie and then going to like have sex in Conrad's room or something, or like at least hook up. Like they disappear like the rest of the way through it. It's awkward, but Cam's not stupid. He immediately like as the night is over, he's like, "You still like Conrad. It is very obvious." Um, so it's not good.
I know. He's like, did you invite me over to make him jealous? And Belly kind of indicates that she doesn't want to talk to Cam when the summer is over.
Yeah, yikes.
Pretty
Yikes.
bad.
But then the next night, Jeremiah kind of corners Belly, and then he actually tells her that he likes her. So that's big, and that's kind of when we realized, like, oh, Jeremiah wasn't just like asking as a friend if she was over Conrad. He was asking for himself.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah, as he's talking and she's not really reacting, realizes that like she's still hung up on Conrad. So that was kind of a waste. And Jeremiah's pretty good at putting on a straight face and acting like everything's normal again and like nothing bad happened.
I
Um,
know.
but Belly's like, well, just because like me and Jeremiah went back to normal means that I have to take a chance and tell Conrad how I feel.
I feel so bad for Jeremiah in this moment. Like, he's
Yeah.
not Belly's favorite. He's not his dad's favorite.
Yeah.
So Conrad's running on the beach the next day. Belly's like, I'm going to tell him. This is when I'm going to do it. So she goes up to him. She says she's loved him since she was 10. And he says, well, you shouldn't. I'm not the one.
Take a hint, Belly leave. Go
She's
ask Jeremy if he's not busy. Like, come on.
but she's not going to. She's gonna dig her heels in and say, "You're lying. I know. I see how you look at me." And he doesn't really give concrete reasons for like liking her or not liking her. He's just like,
It's
"I
like
don't
a
know."
weird fight, which is just like, girl, this is a red flag, run. But Jeremiah kind of like walks in on this because they're in like the backyard now, and he like kind of just tells Conrad to stop sucking, and they get into a fight, like an actual like brawl.
They get into a fight. Belly says, "You know what? You can't be an asshole to Conrad just because your parents are getting divorced." And then he like shakes her. And that's when
Yeah.
Jeremiah comes in, which I was like, thank fucking God. Dude, fuck Conrad.
Right? Conrad sucks.
They're fist fighting, Jeremiah and Conrad. The moms, so embarrassing, break it up.
Yeah, the moms break it up. There's blood everywhere. But immediately after this, Belly's mom sits her down and is like, okay, I have to tell you because things are clearly getting heated at this beach house that Susanna's cancer is back. And that's when the glass shatters and Belly realizes, oh, the divorce was only the tip of the iceberg of all of this like tension news. Susanna is also now battling cancer again.
And it doesn't seem pretty good. I think they said it's in stage 4 and it had
Yeah.
spread to her liver.
Yeah.
So that night, I mean, obviously, gotta avoid Conrad. She goes to Jeremiah's room because she's like gonna comfort him. And Conrad's ran off. His mom is stressed about it. And they kind of fall asleep facing each other crying, which is
Yeah,
really
yeah, her and
sweet.
Jeremiah just sleep on top of the comforter, it's cute.
And
But
then the
she leaves.
next morning, she leaves, and Conrad sees her leaving his room, and he's mean. He's like, "Wow, you gonna be nice to me like that too?" Like, which I thought he was indicating like, "You gonna like be a little whore and fuck my brother
Yeah,
because he's
that's
sad?"
literally what it sounded like, and she tells him off, which, like, good. But then
She
she's also
does.
very depressed, so she stays in bed till noon because, like, that's a lot to take in.
Hey, but I mean, thank God she was like, "I can't believe I ever loved you," because he needed
Yeah,
to hear that. His ego, way too much.
too much.
So she stays in bed till noon. She's like feeling pretty bad about what she said to Conrad. They're all grieving, the idea that they might lose Susanna, and Susanna does tell Belly to take care of him, which we have to assume is Conrad, since
Yeah,
she's like, "All right, you know what? I'll go find him on the beach."
yeah. So Conrad's brooding on the beach as he does, and she sits down like really close next to him. He doesn't dismiss her, and then suddenly they're kissing, and then he like pulls away and he's like, "No, not like this." And then they like sit in the rain in silence, which is like not romantic at all. It's just really like, oh,
Yeah, I they're just like holding hands. Besides the fact he is too much of a coward to take a chance, Cam
yeah,
is trying to call her to meet up, but I mean, whatever. She's gotten to kiss Conrad. She won, I guess.
yeah,
And it's kind of the close of the summer. They're starting to pack up. They're leaving. They have a leftover night and heat up everything in the fridge. It's kind of up in the air what her and Conrad are gonna be. Susanna is like, "I'm gonna do everything to fight this cancer, but I don't want to do hospitals this time." So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's not. That's We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And then that night she invites both Jeremiah and Conrad to do a midnight swim, which is weird because it kind of sounds like she's flirting with both of them still. Um
It seems
eh,
like she was just waiting for one of them to show up.
yeah, yeah, she was literally like, I'm not gonna put all my eggs in one basket just yet. No, no, no. I'm gonna see if one shows up over the other." And she makes a note that like they both kind of seem like annoyed that they were both invited. Like they were like, "Come on, pick a side, Belly."
They like recite a poem. I don't know. Belly's like, "This is our last summer." And then we get kind of like a flash forward in the last
Like yeah,
chapter.
like an epilogue almost.
And they're back home in Boston where Conrad is now at Brown and
Yeah,
Belly is wherever the fuck Belly lives. I don't
yeah.
know.
5.5 hours away from Brown is by car is what we learn.
Exactly. Conrad has driven these 5 hours in the middle of the night to see Belly on a cold night, and he asks if she's going to a second location with him.
And that's it. That's where the book ends, where it's like, "What? What?" He's like, "You're still coming with me, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then she like says to like the audience, like, my mom would be mad, but she'll, I'm young, I'm doing this. And we're like, where are they going?
We don't know, but
We
that's
don't
where it
know. That's
ends.
for book 2. What a way to end this book. I was not expecting it to be like, and here's a giant flash forward to just
Yeah.
leave you waiting.
Oh my god,
Wow.
no, I wasn't either, like, at all.
Yeah, but that also pisses me off because it means that Conrad and her are something at the end of this book. What? We don't know yet. That's going to be for the next book, which name I'm already forgetting. Oh, it's not Summer Without You.
I mean, it makes sense that it's, like, the first love well, I don't know, this is I'm solely speaking from a subjective experience, like, is someone that you obsess with and chase because you don't feel good enough about yourself as a, like, forming adult, young adult,
Yeah.
to, like, fill the parts of you that you can't fill, because
Yeah.
if you win, you win, but it's like, I don't know, maybe we should abandon that, maybe consume more media where the nice guy is, like, a viable option.
Yeah, no, there was very much like I think a thing in the 2000s. And I think still even now it can become a trope where it's like he's just misunderstood and you really have to like open him up like he's an onion. He has layers. He's just misunderstood. He really does love you. He has a heart of gold and it's like no he doesn't. No he doesn't. He's a shitty person. He's not worth the time or energy.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know. For me, I can be a mean flirt, but I also give people reasonings to not make them feel like they're going fucking crazy if they're trying to
Yeah.
pursue
Oh
me.
my
And I'll be like,
god.
I like you and do things
Yeah.
for them.
Conrad is emotional abuse and manipulation to a T.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. I was exhausted just like reading all of the interactions with Conrad and I was like, give it up. But I also know like at my age, I would have given like him so many passes. And I've been like, but I can tell he really loves me. Like,
Oh, I did
so
give a
dumb.
him so many passes. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes a lot of logical sense for that age, but it's just like
Yeah.
exhausting now that we're old.
I know. Reading it back, it's like I'm like yelling, like, don't do it, don't make my mistakes.
I was gonna try to come on here and be devil's advocate and be Team Conrad, but like even
You
reading back
can't.
my notes,
Honestly, I would fire you from the podcast.
hey, whenever we get to Twilight, though, I'm still gonna try to be a diehard for Edward. So
Oh, yeah, see, I only read the first book of Twilight, so we'll get there when we get there. I feel like I'm gonna be team no one in Twilight, so
that's fair. Well,
um
that is the end of the first Summer I Turned Pretty, which brings us to our favorite segment, the top 5 or the canceled character. Which are we
let's
starting
do
off with?
let's do our cancel character because I feel like we're both gonna have the same one. It's
Okay, it's gonna be
probably
Conrad.
Conrad.
Yeah.
I know I was gonna like come in here and make like an argument that Camp should be the canceled character for the whole like disappearing on their date to go play video games and that was kind of shitty and also the
Yeah.
fact that he's a fucking lame ass. But Conrad's objectively one of the worst male characters we've had in this entire series. He
He's
might
pretty
be the
bad.
worst.
I feel like he is
I'm
I
like
feel like him or Damon Salvatore were, like,
I know,
both
I
pretty
was like
bad.
Damon, Gale, Conrad.
I think I definitely think
Q's
Conrad.
pretty bad. We'll have to do a big ranking of like shitty boys. I
The
feel like that
boys?
we could do a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
episode on the shitty boy ranking. But let's do our top 5.
So, our top 5 for this episode is gonna be top 5 ways Belly could have actually gotten Conrad's attention in a way that is
Yeah,
probably healthy or normal. Not
yeah.
healthy, but
Not that
just
we're condoning her actions, but if you're gonna do it, Belly, at least do it better because she has no game right now.
exactly. Coming in at number 5, wearing something skimpy, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know. Easy
Little
way to
little
get it.
tiny bikini, slip a nip. Who knows? That works.
Nip. Hey, I mean, Jenny Han said multiple times, "You got big honkers in this. Use it to your
Yeah.
advantage."
Exactly. Those titties gotta be working. And that's a direct quote from this book.
His titties gotta be working. That's what Taylor would tell her.
Yeah, exactly. Number 4, might come as a shock. Maybe find a common interest with him, like surfing or being a little shit or I don't know, hating women. Any of those I feel like he would really respond to if you just agreed with him on.
Yeah, exactly. Any feminist theory books you have, drop them right now. He's not
Drop
gonna
them.
like that.
You no, 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 he hates that.
For number 3, Laura proposed the very accessible and highly intelligent accidentally handcuffing yourself together so that you have to fall in love.
You know, And the reasoning behind this, listeners, you might be wondering, is because they clearly already spend a lot of time together and that
Mhm.
wasn't working. So we have to raise it up a level that they cannot literally get away from each other.
Exactly.
And then number two, this was of coming from Meggie saying we have to heighten these a little bit. We're suggesting that she puts on the ruse of constantly pretending to drown in the ocean, or maybe actually, who knows? So he has to constantly save her and then ultimately teach her how to swim. This is a good month-long plan.
Exactly. Like, we know that Belly likes to swim. She's a good swimmer. She
Yeah.
needs to get rid of having hobbies
No.
outside of men.
No, no, no. You can't be good at things anymore, Belly. If you want a guy like Conrad, you have to be two-dimensional and bad at everything.
Exactly. And coming in at number 1, we have the highest of stakes. She needs to fake her own kidnapping.
Honestly, I feel like that is truly something that Conrad would suddenly care about because he'd be like, I can solve a mystery.
Exactly. What Disney princess? Like, look at the Disney princesses. We have Belle, who got basically kidnapped. We have, who was the other one I'm thinking of? I don't know.
Tangled? I don't know.
Oh, Tangled. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she gets
Get
kidnapped.
stuck
She
in a
falls in
tower.
love.
Put her in a tower.
If you
Let
want to be
that
a
work
Disney
out.
princess, you need to get kidnapped and have Stockholm syndrome.
And somehow Conrad would get Stockholm syndrome from rescuing her kidnapping. I don't know. We haven't ironed it out, but that's for Jenny Han to do. She's the author of these books.
Exactly. We're just the think tank.
We're just the think tank. We love to throw ideas at the board. But hell yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode of Y'all We Read It. We did it. First episode of season 10 has been completed.
Ay caramba.
Ay
And
caramba.
if you want more of this think tank to keep tanking on, you can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Yeah We Read It. We also have an Instagram, Maggie_and_ Laura.
And if you are looking to keep on tanking, make sure you give us a review wherever you listen to our podcast, or maybe send us an email at MeggieandLauraPresent@gmail.com.
That's gonna be it. We love you.
All right,
Stay
we love
pretty this
you.
summer.
Hey, we all turned
Hey.
pretty this summer.
We